When were they first discovered? Well, they were actually discovered because we were looking for planets. So originally it was Kepler who thought that there should be a planet between Mars and Jupiter, but it was in the 1700s Johann Pegasus who came up with an equation that determined exactly where the planet should be. It was just this numerical evaluation, and the planets we knew about all fit into it, but it implied that there would be a planet somewhere between Mars and Jupiter, and we hadn't found one yet. So everybody was looking for this missing planet, and it was finally found on January 1st, 1801. It's a nice auspicious day. Let's start the year out with a major discovery. And this was the planet Ceres. So in the 9 planets, do we have a planet named Ceres? No, because after they found Ceres, they found Pallas, and after they found Pallas, they found Juno, and after the Juno, they found Vesta, and these were all in practically the same orbit between Mars and Jupiter, and then they found thousands more. These are just the 4 largest ones. So Ceres was no longer considered a planet, and they came up with this new term, asteroid. So this area between Mars and Jupiter is called the asteroid belt. It looks like they're really thick on the ground, right? Like there's so many asteroids that you would just trip over one. But actually, we have sent many spacecraft through this asteroid belt, and there's never been any accidents. We're lucky if we can just pass by one so that we can take pictures of it. That has to be carefully planned. Even though it looks really, really thick, there's actually so sparsely distributed that it's very easy to get through this asteroid belt. Hopefully you can see some of the other asteroids, not just the asteroid belt ones in white, but then there's the Hildas in orange. Some of these have great names. The Greeks and Trojans in green. These are in Jupiter's orbit. These are in Lagrange points. Do you guys know what a Lagrangian point is? Yeah, so this is the L4 and L5 in Jupiter's orbit. So there's these stable spots where things can just sit and not be disturbed. So they've collected all of these asteroids. And then inside of the asteroid belt, inside of Mars's orbit or Earth's orbit, are all of these Earth crossing and Mars crossing and even some Venus and Mercury crossing asteroids. And these are the ones that we're actually in danger from. These are the ones that could really spell disaster for a planet. So I mentioned that the asteroid belt is pretty sparse. 50% of the mass of everything that's in the asteroid belt is bound up in the 4 largest objects. So Ceres, Vesta, Pallas, and Hygeia have over 50% of the mass of everything in the asteroid belt. And I mentioned that there are thousands and thousands of objects in there. So most of them are pretty small. I like to call them rock. Has anyone seen the Muppet Show? Okay, you know pigs in space? So I tend to go, rocks in space. Yes, I know, it's deeply of me, but I love the Muppets. So there are actually things that are technically asteroids and they're the size of dust. So there's lots of stuff there, but most of it is pretty small. And the major ones were the ones that were first discovered. So these are the 10 largest asteroids, and this is our moon as a backdrop, just so you can get an idea of how small they are compared to our moon, which is pretty small compared to Earth, or really even any of the planets. So asteroids are planetesimals. What we think they are these like leftover bits of the formation of the solar system. So at the very, very beginning, when the solar system was forming, we had all of these planetesimals, these protoplanets, these chunks that were the building blocks of the planets. And most of them clumped together and formed Mercury and Venus and Earth and Mars and Jupiter and Saturn and so on and so on. But sometimes they were gravitationally disturbed. They got out of the regular plane of the ecliptic. They didn't clump together with others and form a bigger body. They just kind of got stuck and collided into each other, but didn't glom onto each other and form a bigger body. So these things are left over from the actual formation of the solar system. So the asteroids in the asteroid belt and the other asteroids are actually some of the oldest stuff we have left. Because they're just floating out there in space, they haven't been reworked the way the surface of the planets have. So this is old, primordial stuff, the stuff that everything else came from. So by going to visit those, we see what these building blocks of the solar system really were. It's part of the reason we want to study them in more detail. Types of asteroids.